Okay, so when you're opening a position, like I said, you can either do a buy position or a sell position. It's not like a buy to open or sell to open or buy to close. It's not like an option contract. It's more like buying or shorting a stock. So there's two ways you can do it. I'll go over the way on the chart, which is pretty simple. You click this mouse trading button, and you want to click this button too, because this is how you can control the quantity of contracts while you're trading on the chart. So right now I have it set to a single contract. I can put it at 2, 10. I'm not trading any more than 2, but I'll put 1 just in case I get filled on something. And if you look at the screen where my mouse is, since I'm above the current price, left click is a buy stop, right click is a sell limit. And if you watch, if I go below the price, it switches to a buy limit or a sell stop. And that's just the type of order based on where it is on the price. That's the same in the DOM. But if I wanted to place an order, let's say I wanted to place a breakout here for some reason. Left click. Now I have my buy order placed. That'll get filled at 13,723 if it goes up there. If I wanted to set a stop loss here, I could click this. Say I want my stop loss 30 ticks. Now I have a stop loss. If the price comes down and hits this, it doesn't matter because this order is only triggered once this buy order is filled. And the same thing with the TP is a take profit. Let's say I want to do that. Let's say I want to go for a 2-to-1 trade. I can drag this up to 60 ticks. 61 either way. And now I have a trade that is a 2-to-1 reward or 1-to-2, whatever ratio. That's how you can do it on the chart. So you can set your level if you want to place a trade. So say I signal something like a buy at 13,725. Click the mouse button. Sometimes it helps if you scroll up on this side a little bit because the price is a little bit easier to access. I mean, to get right. 13,725. Boom. There's your buy order. You can set your stop loss here. If I wanted to do 2 contracts, pretty easy. Just click 2. Click the mouse button. It always turns off after you place a trade, so that way you don't accidentally place a trade while you're navigating the chart. Click. Now we have a 2 there. It's pretty simple, and you can set your stop loss here. I typically don't set a take profit because I'm in the habit of, at least when I'm using my normal account, letting trades run. I've had pretty good success of trimming at a resistance level and seeing if it'll run. Worst case scenario, my stops are in profit. Best case scenario is it'll break through, and then, especially on NQ, you can get some pretty big moves. But that's how you would do it on the chart. If you wanted to trade through the DOM, it's very similar, except what you're doing is you're clicking in the bid or ask column. And you can see the bid is green. That means you are buying. The ask is red, which means you are selling. So let's just say I wanted to put a sell order here. Looking at the chart, maybe if I see it break below this, let's say 13,710. So I can go here, 13,710, left click, places the order. That's because on a stop, it will automatically add the stop. If you have a limit order, and if you watch my video about setting this up here, where this one, use stop instead of limit. If you don't have that set, if I were to click here, hear that noise? That's because it's not placing the order, because that would be a limit order. If I didn't have that button clicked, if I clicked there, it would automatically do a market buy. Same thing on the opposite side, which would be a limit sell. If I clicked here, same beep, that would put it in as a market sell if I didn't have that button clicked. But to manage your trades through the DOM, let's just say I was playing a breakout here to the downside, and I wanted to do 2 contracts at 710. I'll place this trade if it fills. Why not? There's 2 ways you can manage it. So you can click there and set your stop. Say I want to do a stop at 720. Why not? 720. Just click your stop. Now these orders are not linked doing it that way, which means if this fills as a sell, I still have my stop here, but this stop is active either way, because if the price goes up, I'll get filled on this buy and I'll be long there. There's another way you can set it up, which I don't use just because it gets a little bit congested in the DOM if I have a lot of stuff going on, and that is, oh, I thought that was it. Let me see. Oh yeah, there it is. It is there. So on the DOM, it's the same. Where if you hover over the price or your buy, you have an S and a T. So the S is a stop loss. Why is it not working? There we go. So if you click it and drag it, this is very similar to doing it on the chart where I'm dragging a stop that's linked to being filled on that order. So if I wanted to do a 15 tick stop, that's only
Oh, okay.
triggered if this buy is filled. And you can, and it's kind of cool because you can manage it there. The only thing which gets kind of weird is if you have it set to 1 here and you place 2 contracts here, you can, it gets weird because it's only a single cell linked to that dragged position if you set it with a 1. If you set it with a 2, there we have a buy, drag it down. Now both of those contracts are linked together with the same stop. And you see it's not getting filled as a cell because it's not triggered by this buy order. Um, I
So,
pers
like, I had a quick question about that. So, like, I noticed in Forex, right, where you're able to set a TP and a stop loss like when you make the trade, right?
yeah.
But from what I understood from like what you're explaining is that you can set like the entire order before it even fills, pretty
So
much.
that's where it gets a little weird, and this platform is a little bit limited in that because you can't set multiple take profits at different price levels that are all triggered by the same buy order. There's one thing you can do, which is let's say I want to do 2 contracts. Let's say I wanted to play a breakout here, so say 721. Doesn't matter. I could do that and then do another buy at 721 and a quarter, and then I could set my stop loss. Same spot. Let's do like a 10 tick stop on both of them. Now both of those are there, but see it gets weird. So now I think it unlinked them because they're at the same price level. But if I keep them separate, like I said, I don't use this that much because it's a little bit weird. But see, now we have 2 stop loss linked to the 2 prices, and that tick gap will stay the same. See as I move it, they both move. So as long as they're not on the same price level, they'll stay linked. So I mean, hypothetically, you could have a stop loss that's 1 tick apart with buy orders that are 1 tick apart. And then in that scenario, if you want to do 2 different take profits, I could drag 1 take profit up to 20 ticks, drag my second take profit up to whatever else I want, 30 ticks. And now you have something similarly set up to where each one of these has a separate stop loss and a separate take profit linked to that buy order. It just gets a little weird when you have them on the exact same price level because it doesn't, something about it just doesn't work right. I'm not sure what it is. But
I
that's
see.
a way you can set it up to have multiple take profits. Or another thing you can do is, I'm typically not in trades that long, so I'm not super concerned with like having open orders. Most of the trades I'm in are, a couple minutes. Sometimes they're 10 or 15 if it keeps running. But you can just do it manually where you say, okay, I'll play a breakout here. I'll do two contracts, 725. I want my stop loss, say 712, which is kind of weird because normally I'll wait. We'll see. I don't want to get filled here, but okay, 2 at 712. This is a little bit riskier because if this price dumps, I'll get filled on this. However, that's not always necessarily a bad thing because sometimes you get these crazy moves on NQ where the price will go very quickly in a direction, like this big green candle here. If I was trying to play a breakout to the downside and I had my stop above this high here, and my stop got filled instead of my buy, in a 2-minute candle, that would have been a very, very good trade. Um, so I'm not super concerned with that about having open orders as long as you are trading on the chart. That's where it gets kind of risky where if you're saying, okay, well, I only use, a 5 tick stop loss on my entries, you're going to get stopped out and filled on your trades a lot sooner than you should because you're not trading
Hmm.
the chart. And it gets kind of tricky with this too, is because you get huge wicks. Like even on a 5-minute chart, this would be a huge wick. And that's where it kind of, that's where it's hard to signal some of the trades where if I get filled on something, it could be, I could signal it and the price can move very quickly. So I've been trying to work on placing or signaling orders that are like in advance to where you can get it where it's a little bit close to it where it should bounce. But sometimes that's a little tricky with how quick the price moves on NQ. It's a little slower now because the stock exchange market's not open yet. But
Right, right. Okay. I had another question, I guess, about like this. So,
oh, just throwing it out there,
um,
another good example. Assuming I was playing that breakout here, my buy was at 720, my stop was at like 712. If I would have just let that position stay, even though in my mind I was thinking my stop loss is 712, I would have been filled at 712 and had a positive sell trade here. That would have been good. And then all I'd have to do is either cancel that buy order and place stops and profit, or just drag my stop down to be, and then as soon, I mean, even if it's just a wick on a candle, if you're quick enough on it and you can put some stops and profit, then it doesn't matter. Even if you're green it, even if it's only a $30 or $40 trade, it's worth it as long as you can put your stops in profit, even if it went the wrong way. So that's why it's, at least for me, it's super important to always have a stop loss on your chart. Because again, if I was going for a buy here and I didn't have a stop loss, and say I bought for some reason and it filled and then it dumped like that, a big red candle, you can blow up your account really fast without stop losses.
so it's always better to like do the thing where you set the buy beforehand, or buy or sell rather, right? Long or short beforehand,
So
and then set your stops and take profit. Or just a stop at least.
yeah, typically I'll only set a stop because I prefer trading on a shorter time frame, mainly because of the leverage on this. It's NQ is 20 times leveraged. So especially on forex, you'll see a lot of you kind of scope out a little bit on the chart, and you want to trade longer, and you can have a little bit bigger stops. But the problem, especially with this challenge account, is if you have a stop to give yourself a certain risk to reward, um, and you get stopped out, that could be a $500 loss. Uh, you do that, on accident more than once, and then all of a sudden you're canceled out of the account. So I don't really focus on longer trade setups. Well, for one, because I don't need to. I've been very successful doing this, just scalping, instead of looking for a take profit. And another thing is swinging positions. Like if you're going for a longer trade and it doesn't fill by the end of the day, on this challenge account at 3:10 Central Time, they will cancel you if you have an open contract. You're not allowed to swing any positions. So any positions have to be closed by 3:10 Central, and then you can start trading again at 5 p.m. Central, because that's when the futures market reopens. But that time in between is what's considered a swing. And if you're doing it on your own account, you can swing positions, but I think it all comes down to the margin requirement. To swing an NQ contract is something like $14,000 margin requirement just to hold the position over that futures closed hour. It's only closed between 4 and 5, but for the purpose of these challenge accounts, they close at 3:10 Central. So I don't swing anything, especially now because it'll fail my account. But yeah, that's how I manage my trades. And what I'll typically do is when I get filled on a position, I change the text size on my DOM. I'm not sure if you have done that. Think I have it set to 8
I have,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I have it set to 8. And that's just so I have a bigger visible range on the DOM so I can manage my trade. Like let's say I did a buy order and I was filled at like 708 and I was long here. I wouldn't put my stops in profit quite yet. I want to see like 4 or 5 ticks profit, and then what I do is if I'm long here, I would place a stop closer to my entry and one closer to the current price. I'll normally stagger them about maybe 3 points. That way, if the price, and you can kind of see how the price moves, it kind of pulses around up and down and up and down, and then it'll go for very quick moves and then pulse around and then go for another quick move. So normally what I'll do is I'll keep my one stop, like even if I was at 708 filled long here, and I had my stop $1 in profit, that's a $20 move. I would have probably been stopped on the one up here, which is fine. That would have been, like $40. This one would still be good, and I would allow this DOM to keep moving a little bit. Sometimes I'll adjust this, maybe get closer to like 708.50 if I see it getting close, but I'm pretty confident it'll go back up. But that's kind of how I manage my trades on the DOM. And then if you watch it during the day, you'll see the price will pulse around a little bit and then shoot up or shoot down, and you get these big moves, these big like 5 to 10 point pulses. And what you can do is drag your stop up, keep away from the price, give it 2 or 3 points to pulse around a little bit, and then sometimes it'll go again. You drag your stop up, and then it'll pulse around. And that's what I typically do. Even if I'm, typically I'll trade 3 contracts on my normal account, and I'll do that with 3. So if the price starts dropping, I'll have my 3 staggered stops here, like 1, 2, 3. The price will pulse around and drop. What I'll do is I'll drag them down from the top as the price moves down. So I'm moving my furthest away stop to the closest to the price as the price moves down, and then I'll
This
scroll
would be
down.
for a short, right? I
What's
assume.
what's that?
This would be for a short because you're moving your stops
Well, yeah,
down to make
in this
profit.
scenario where I'm moving it now, typically it moves faster when it's dumping, but it'll depending on the day. Sometimes it goes the same way, but it'd be the same thing. So if I'm in a long position here and I have my stops here, I guess I'd be going the other way. I was doing it backwards. But so if I was long and I had 3 stops on my DOM here, I don't want to get filled on anything. Like say those are my stops and the price is pulsing upwards. What I'll do, well, I guess it wouldn't be 3 because we're only doing 2 on this challenge. So I have some room here. I would drag my stop up, give it some room to pulse around a little bit, and typically it'll keep going. When I have enough room, like 3 or 4 points, drag my stop up, and then keep doing that while the price moves. And that's kind of how I actively manage my stops. And what it does is it gives the trade room to keep moving in the direction it's moving in, but it doesn't limit my profit by having a take profit, which is, sometimes you can get a good trade. Like there was one I posted, I think it was yesterday. Let me see if I can find it here. Where if I was trading it that way, it would have been a very, very good trade because it dumped and it dumped fast. It was this one. So if you look at this, I was short here because I saw it kind of flagging. I didn't know if it would come down, but I saw these candles come down, and I was short below the low of this candle. And what I did is I saw it dump. I was actually accidentally filled on this contract here because I was typing in the fact that I had my stops in profit, but I had my other stop higher up, like just below the entry. And then as it was dumping, if I was doing it the other way, this continued to dump. I could just slowly drag my stops down as the price moves down, and then instead of having a take profit at the resistance, I could have let both of those contracts ride and been pretty profitable on that. But I'm not making money on this right now, so I'm not concerned about making huge trades. I was perfectly fine. I took profit on this one there because the trade was over $200, and I was happy with that. So that's typically how I'd manage it trading on my normal account. But for the gauntlet, like I said, if the trade's over $200, I'll just take profit because that's my goal. I'm trying to get 2 signals a day now, so or 2 trades a day. So as long as I hit that $200 goal, or like 150, 200 per trade, I'm happy with that. But it'll change a little bit if I get this account funded. Then I will manage the trades a little bit different. But that's kind of how I do it when I'm trading on my real account. Is I'll have all of my stops in
Hmm.
profit and then manually drag them. And I personally use the DOM because I can see the price move a little bit better, and if you have, especially when you're trading NQ, because the price is so condensed here. If I have, let's say I have 3 stops on the chart and I want to keep them like tick and a half apart, whatever. Like trying to manage this, like trying to drag these around gets a little wonky because they're overlapping. So that's why I prefer here. It's a lot cleaner to just drag, you know, and I'll always, if I'm in a buy, I always grab the bottom one and drag it up. Try to keep the spacing even. See, it's shooting up right now, so if I would have been long here, I could just keep dragging them up. And this is ensuring that I will get good fills on all of my stops as opposed to a take profit somewhere. Oh, now I'm short. So now I'm in a trade. Well, that's awesome. Hopefully we don't keep going up. But see, now I'm short one contract because I had a sell limit here, and it shows the quantity, current profit. We'll see how this goes. I didn't mean to do that. Probably just get stopped out real quick. This candle's wicking pretty good, so maybe it'll come back down. Let's see. And one thing too is my time right now at 6:11. Market opens at 6:30 on Pacific time. I stay out for the first half an hour. I mostly trade in queue, but the first half an hour is super volatile, and for the purpose of this, it's not worth entering anything because, for one, I can't signal what I'm trading because it happens so fast. I've been pretty successful trading during the first half hour, but I'm just gonna flatten this. So that flatten button
Okay.
cancels everything. It cancels your any open positions on the chart, and it just does a market buy or market sell for whatever you have. Um,
Hmm.
so I just wanted to flatten that. I didn't know what it was doing. But yeah, that's how I manage it through the DOM. And like I said, the green is a buy. The right is, I should have left that open. Oh well. Yeah, and that's how I manage it. So sometimes if I post a picture of a trade, it might be a picture of the DOM, and you'll see the yellow box will be what our entry is. And if we're short, hopefully it's up here instead of down here, because if it's a short entry, you want the price to be below it. And I'll post a picture of the entry, and then I'll have 2 buy stops below it, just to show that the stops are in profit. Or sometimes I'll post a chart, and like if I'm in a trade or if I'm going to signal a trade, let me see. I haven't really looked at this. Put some lines in that. It's not very good. Maybe like that. So I did this yesterday, and people got a little upset with me because I had a chart. Let's just say this is the chart, and it broke. The price broke below and was coming back up. And so what I signaled, or didn't signal, but what I posted was I had, like, say that the price was coming back up here, and I was expecting it to bounce here, like right where the O is. What I had was that, something similar to that. And I was like, oh, that's fine. That shows what the trade I'm getting in, because the price was down here. I was like, wait, I'm going to short here. These reds are short positions. They're sells. And that's my stop loss. But I don't know. People didn't
So
really
you
understand.
placed a limit buy, like I'm still having a little trouble understanding. So right just now, right, you just placed a limit buy, right? And that was that below the current price or was it above?
Okay, so
Because if you
that's
place the limit above, then it's gonna just trigger immediately, right?
no, that's
To buy.
only if you have your DOM set up without that button checked. So
So
here
am I
is
supposed to put shift every time I like
that's
do an
so,
order?
and that's the thing is, and if you don't, with this button, you stop instead of limit, because the default is it will automatically fill your order as a market buy or market sell as, I don't even remember, it's either a stop or a limit, but one of them, if you click on the chart, hear that? Do you hear that? That's
Yeah.
it not allowing me to enter the trade, because that would typically be put in as a market order. I don't want to do a market order. I want to set my price levels. So I, I've been talking to the people here to see if they can set it up to where it doesn't require a shift click, because a buy stop is fine, but a sell limit won't let you do it. And without that button checked in the settings, if I click there without doing anything, it'll automatically do a market buy. I don't want that. So I guess it's just one extra step, hold shift and click, and it'll let you put in a limit. And the same goes for a sell. So So buy limits are below the price, sell limits are above the price. Same thing, no shift. If I hold shift, it'll let me place it. But I prefer that than having to click here and having it only allow me to do a market order, because I don't want to be filled there. I want to
Okay.
set a price level. So yeah, and that's so your stops. A sell stop is normal, just click. A buy stop, normal, just click. But the limits, which are the opposite, which is depending on the price level. If it's below the price is a buy, it's a buy limit. You can see LMT buy limit. If it's above the price is a sell, it's a sell limit. So I just prefer that.
So
What's
the
that?
buy stop means, so let's say like for like I'm looking at your, or I mean I'm looking at it on mine too, so it's probably the same thing. So let's say for example you wanted to maybe place like you had an alert that basically said like if it hits 13,720 you would buy, right? And then
Yeah.
set a take profit for 13,725, stop loss 13,718, right? So how would I set that up? Like
Okay.
would I click like
Okay. So if
this?
you to set it up, what I'll typically say is I'll normally give a level, like sell around, buy around, and what that means is, especially with two contracts, I'll normally stagger them, and I'll normally stagger them on the downside of the position. So say I don't really want to play here because I don't want to get filled. Let's say I was playing a bounce here. Okay. Well, obviously we can see it bounced, but um, just so I'm not accidentally filled again. Say I was trying to stay long. Okay, like I'm looking at the chart and I see the price coming down. And I say, okay, I'm going to try to play the bounce here around 13,690. So to place that trade, I would be on the DOM around 13,690. Where is it? 690. So here. So that would be where I would want to place a buy, right? I typically don't go right to the point that I see because, like it happened here, you get close to it, but you don't actually hit it. So what I would rather do is maybe go like $1 away and then another dollar away. So that would be my entry. So if I'm expecting a bounce at 690 for a buy, I would stagger it $1 away and then another dollar away. So that way, in this scenario, I would have gotten filled on both of those if I was playing a bounce here. And then the stop loss. Okay, so I'm playing that if I'm thinking, okay, if it breaks down below, sometimes we get some crazy wicks, but let's say I want to do like, I don't know, a 5-point stop from where I think it'll bounce. My stop is based on the chart, not based on my entry. My entry is just to be safe. So if I want to do a 5-point stop from 13,690, I go down here to 13,685. There's my stop. So just that, and that would be the trade setup
Okay.
for now.
So
So
that basically means, right, if it hits the 13,692 and the one that's five below that, right? It'll fill you and then it'll make your stop at 685 and then
yeah,
take profit you don't have yet. But
yeah, yeah. And the take, like I said, just because I've gotten the habit of not setting take profits, just because it can be so lucrative letting it run, I have no reason not to. Especially, like even if I was to play this bounce and give it some time. In all honesty, I probably would have closed it on this red candle here if I was filled. I probably would have, if I was filled here, I probably would have closed it on this red candle. For probably I don't know, 8 points, or whatever. But assuming that I let this play out, um, I would rather let this run. And there's another thing that I played with too, which is um, especially on a 2-minute chart, is dragging your stops. Well, this is kind of when I started, but it worked pretty well. Is having your stops and following the closed candle, the wick or the bottom of the closed candle. Like this one doesn't have a wick. That following that at the close of each candle. So as each candle is formed, move your stop up to the lowest price of the candle, whether it's the wick here, I guess I'm looking here, or the body, and just dragging my stop up candle by candle. And I've noticed that especially on these short runs, this trade, if I got filled here, was 38 to, it's like a 22-minute trade. And I would have gotten all the way up to the close of this candle before I stopped out. Doing that, just following the bottoms of the candles. And I've noticed that actually works pretty well on NQ, because when you have these little run-ups, um, that one's actually not too big, but that worked pretty well too. But for the purpose of this challenge, as soon as you can. Like I said, as soon as you have 3, 4, 5 points in profit, whether it's a long or short position, move your stops into profit, because it's way better to get stopped out for a very small gain than to have your original. If it's a 5 point stop, it's better to have a very small gain than to have a slightly bigger loss. Even if the trade's correct, I'd rather get stopped out and then have the price come down, hit my stops, and then go back up than risk getting stopped out for a negative trade. So that's just kind of my mentality going in for now. And then if you do
I
have
mean, I
any,
like that. That's pretty safe, right?
yeah, I mean, it's still, and the biggest thing with that is giving yourself enough room in the DOM for the price to move, or on the chart. But that's just kind of my mentality, especially with this, because it's trying to be super risk averse here, and I'd rather have 2 small trades for $50 in a day and not hit my goal than have one bad trade where I lose $100 and one good trade where I make $100. Um, I'd rather have two. It's all about small wins on this one. Um, and then another thing, there's a guy in chat. His name is Bill. He made a mistake of leaving an open position, and if you do that, you'll fail, because I think he got filled on something and then he didn't know, and then market closed and he failed the gauntlet challenge because he accidentally did that. So an important button here, if you don't want to close everything, you can close your positions, or a right click on the DOM will close a position, or this flatten button. Just click that, closes everything. Whether you have an open position, it'll mark it, buy or sell it, and then close every open position. So make sure you hit that when you're done with each trade, or just look at your chart or your DOM, make sure you don't have any open positions. You can also click this tab here, working orders. That'll show you if I have an open position. It'll show me that I have a buy at, if you just make sure you don't have any open positions, because that will accidentally fail you, which isn't good. But yeah,
So do you usually play bounces
uh,
and
100%. If you look at my chart setup, I have a shitload of indicators. Just kidding. I don't have any. I don't use any indicators at all. And that's simply because of the trading style that I prefer for futures, which is scalping. If you're trading options, you're kind of zoned out of the picture a little bit. You want it to move in a direction. Who cares if it's a couple hours, a couple days? You can swing stuff. I'm focused more on getting very good entries for trades and having very small stops. If I was looking at this, that's why I use a 2-minute chart. Like if I was on a 5-minute chart and I was looking at this, what I'll do is I'll get rid of all these. Let's say I had an indicator up here. Which one should I do? Do MACD. Here's the MACD indicator. It's very common. A lot of people love the MACD. And I was like, okay, oh, look at that. My price is down. My MACD's crossing, it looks like. I can see that it crossed here before it went up. I want to go long here. If I was trading options, okay, I'd buy some calls maybe if I was trading with the MACD. I'm not too worried about it. But in futures, your stop loss is based directly on the price. It's not based on the option premium. Where if you buy an option, you say I want a 30% stop loss. That would allow the price to move quite a bit on the chart before you get stopped out on your option.
right?
If you had a 30% stop loss, well, for one, if you were 30% stop based on your actual margin requirement for NQ, that would be like a $3,000 stop loss based on the margin requirement. Of course, there's reduced margin for day trading, but in terms of position size, this is leveraged too. So it's a little bit misleading to think of your position size here, because you're trading a contract that has a margin value of something close to $15,000. That's like your actual leveraged position size. Of course, for this it's a little different. I don't think they accurately show you what the margin requirements are, and that changes because a lot of futures brokers have reduced day margins. Like the broker that I use is called AMP Futures. The day trading margin for NQ is $1,000 per contract. ES is
Hmm.
$400 a contract, but that's just because it's a reduced day margin. I'll actually show you that real quick. That's one thing that's kind of cool about day trading futures. So here's the broker that I use, and where is it? Margins. So if you look at this, these are the micros. The micros, do you know what those are?
I'm like a little bit. I guess it's just
Okay, so
smaller contracts.
so yeah, so
Less.
what I trade is called the minis. It's the E mini. E mini S&P is ES. E mini Nasdaq is NQ. E mini Russell is RTY. I don't trade the Russell, but I have before. So the micros are 1/10 the contract size of the minis. So ES has a 50 times leverage on your position. So each quarter that ES moves, your position moves $12.50, which sounds good, but it doesn't move as fast as NQ. NQ is only 20 times leverage, so each quarter it moves is $20. Or sorry, it's $5. Each dollar it moves is $20. But if you look at this, these are the micros. So the micro E mini, you have the maintenance margin. This is the amount of money you have to swing a position, and then you have your day trade margin. Again, for a micro ES contract is only a $40. So if you had $100 in your account, you could trade two MES contracts. Um, Again, it doesn't move very fast. The MES is only $1.25 per tick, so it's $5 per point, which is a point is a dollar on that. But I don't trade the micros. So right here, like the E-mini Nasdaq. So I was even low. The maintenance margin, to swing a position is you have to have $16,000 in your account per contract to swing past market close. However, to day trade it, you only need $1,000. And then, like I said, the ES is only $400 a contract. Sometimes I play with the Russell, that's $500, but not a lot. Where's YM? The Dow is $500. And that's just a day trade, and that's really all I do. I did some swing trading on my account, but I don't like the way the market moves as much, so I pretty much stay out of it. So yeah, oh, look at that, it's going up, and we're right about to open. So I'll stay on for a little bit longer, then I gotta go. I got work to do. But
All right.
you can watch the craziness that is, because again, the futures market's been open the whole time. You can actively trade futures at night. There's no even swinging a position is just having it closed for 1 hour, and then it's open again. So it's not like swinging any option contract. Like if you swing a SPY option contract, you get to watch it until market opens. There's nothing you can do. You can't close it. You can't do anything on. If you swing a SPY call and it starts dumping, sorry.
Do you ever do trades like during like after market hours, like or not after market hour or after like what's it called stock market hours, like 4, 5, 6, 7
So
p.m.
the
Eastern?
stock market closes at we'll do Eastern time at 4. Uh, you can trade some of the indices on options until 4:15, but this challenge closes at 4:10. You're Eastern time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't have any open positions on this after 4:10. So 10 minutes after the stock market closes. But you can start trading again at 6 because that's when the futures market closes and it reopens at 6 Eastern time. So you can trade that if you want to trade after hours. Well, there's actually a couple guys. Nazug is one of them. El Presidente. He is talking about getting into some swing trading on futures as well because he has more time then. But I just don't prefer the market. I'd rather be able to look at a chart, find an entry if I see something, get in, be in for 10 or 15 minutes, be done. Where after hours, it's a little bit longer because it doesn't move as fast. And now we're open and watch NQ. It's kind of crazy sometimes. It'll probably be
This
boring
thing's
today.
moving a lot faster than it was
Oh yeah, it,
before.
it moves faster and you get some crazy candles. Uh, Especially like the first 15 minutes. Normally it dies down after about 10 or 15 minutes, but for this I try to stay out until about 7 my time, so about 10 your time, just to kind of let the market pick a direction and be a little bit more stable. It still moves fast, but it's not as volatile. It's not as many big candles. Let me get rid of this garbage. Did you have any other questions?
I mean, as of now, no. I mean, I just gotta get used to kind of doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if you're on a
based
paper
on the
account
alerts.
right now, you have nothing to
Right.
lose, so play around with it. One thing that I will say is it is insanely easy to overtrade on futures because there's no all of your money, even on a real account, all of your money is instant settlement because there's no PDT rules or anything on this because they're not considered securities. So it is super easy to get into a habit of trying to catch every possible move that you see, and it can be pretty good. Like I've had some good days where I trade way too much but make a good amount of money. Um, but it's a bad habit. That's one of the reasons why I'm personally doing this. Is I found myself getting a little bit too risky, and I need something to kind of ground myself. So I'm doing this to kind of reinstill some good risk management behavior. Um, but play around with it. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, even if you want to use indicators, I don't have anything against other people using indicators. I just don't do it because I feel like for one, they're all just. I think indicators should be used as confirmation, not as a signal. The chart should always be first. But like just like I was saying, if I had the MACD play a MACD cross here, you think it's going to go up? That's kind of showing right now. We're getting some good buy pressure, a huge amount of buy volume. Um, so you could use that as an idea. Or if I was to trade this and I was looking at this, I'd probably put a line here. I'm huge into lines, and you'll see that in my charts. As the day goes on, the lines will get bigger and bigger and more and more. So you get some wicks here, but that's fine. I kind of ignore some wicks. If I was to play a breakout here, of course, we have this big candle. It wicked all the way back down to here. But that's why I kind of stay out because there's a lot of volatility here. Um, but you
Hmm.
can you can
Would you?
scalp a lot in the first little bit.
Yeah, it looks like it at least. Yeah.
The only problem
Would
is
you
what was that?
do live trading
Do I
or
do? Yeah, I've done live trading before. It's a little bit different when I'm doing my main account because like I'll go live. Like I've gone live, like in about 15 minutes and just had screen shared while I was scalping, but I'm not doing that on this. I'm only trading what I can signal, with the exception of that accidental fill that I got while we were talking. Um,
right, right.
so
Okay.
I
Why
mean,
is
there's a
that? Like, is it just to be consistent, or is it like better to just do the signals rather than like people watching in real time as it happens? Or
for the signals. Are you talking about like
yeah,
live trading while I signal something
yeah. I mean, like, what's like the I guess what's behind it? Yeah.
behind the trade?
No, I mean like, wouldn't it be easier, I guess, to like have people just literally watching your screen and you just saying it rather than
So that's true.
I don't know. You
Um,
know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's a lot of people have asked me about that, but there's a little bit of conflict of interest, if you will, because I am a futures analyst for more than just Ox. Um, so that's why I actually have a bot set up to show my trade ideas. Not that I'm telling you to enter them, because that is not what I do. Um, but my trade ideas, I send them to multiple places, and sometimes I'll go live, but I can't. I don't want to do that for everything because, and if I do go live, maybe if I see a trade set up, in the next 5 or 10 minutes, maybe I'll go live and let you watch the screen while I enter the trade. That's probably something that I'll do and then record it. But I'll still be posting the signals, at least for the
Okay.
context of this challenge. And I've done it before where it's actually kind of cool because we've had a probably 4 or 5 guys in Ox trading at the same time, like like we're all watching the same chart, like scalping at the same time, which is kind of fun. We've done that a few times, but for the purpose of this, I'm not doing any of that, at least for the next couple weeks, just because I want to get through this challenge and then see how that goes. But I could probably go live as long as I record it. So yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
I guess not. Yeah, that was very informative though. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
gonna mess around with it today and let's see. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, play around with it if you have the day. Don't wait on my say. If I post something that a trade that I'm entering, then you can play around with entering it and managing that yourself. Um, or try to find trade setups of your own. You can play with indicators and stuff, whatever you want, but just be mindful of the fact that the money moves extremely fast in futures. Risk management. There's something that I haven't talked about a whole lot, which is my mentality, and I always think about what I call like stop first trading, which means I don't enter a trade if I don't know where the stop will be, and that's based on the chart. Um, and a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll enter in my stop loss first before I enter my uh, before I get my entry on the trade, because that's one thing that's burned me a lot, especially on futures, is you could have one candle that will lose you a ton of money. So if you don't have your stop set, just keep that in mind. That the stop, the risk management is the most important thing. The most important thing is being a good loser before you become a good winner, because if you lose big, you can lose a lot of money fast. So just keep that in mind. I mean, even if you're entering trades today, playing around, go for it, but or don't, and you'll see. Especially if you're on just a demo account, you can see how quickly you lose money. It can happen very fast if you don't have stops. You get some big candles, and they can be red or green that go against you, and if you don't have a stop, they will destroy you. So yeah. Anything else? I think I'm gonna go.
No, I mean that was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. Just ping me in chat or something.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
will. Yeah.
no problem. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
then.
Looking forward to starting.
Yeah, yeah. Play around with it. I mean, even if you don't, I would give yourself a couple days on the demo account. In all honesty, uh, I think it's a little bit of a mistake jumping into this. I mean, the good thing is if you do the gauntlet, you're not risking your own money. It's right now it's $100 for the trial. If you fail, it's another 100 to reset it. So it's not. I mean, that is exponentially better than the it's 1,000. That's $1,100 max loss in a day. I'd rather pay $100 and learn how to not lose 1,100 than lose 1,100 learning that lesson. So
Right.
I mean, I did the Top Step challenge last year, and um, I spent some money doing that, but I'm glad I did because it really helped teach me like risk management and position sizes. That was like invaluable for me to learn how to trade futures successfully. So, but I would say play around with the demo account at least for a couple days. Maybe with today's Thursday, maybe today and tomorrow. And if you're comfortable and confident with it, then maybe start Monday. You'll be a week behind, but that should be okay. It's not a big deal. Um, but yeah, definitely practice. And stick, especially since you have a demo account. I think the Rhythmic demo is good for 2 weeks. If nothing else, you can actually do. Oh, you can't do it. It'd be the same login, but if you keep your login stuff, you can log into one if you want to trade, on the mini account once you set it up, and then log back into your demo account just to play around. That's probably not a bad idea either. But yeah, look at some of these candles. Whew. All right, I'm gonna go, man. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much.